we've seen Pixar struggling over the past several years. It's weird. Over the past 5 years, a lot of big changes have happened at Disney, and all of their big properties, whether it's Walt Disney Animation, whether it's Pixar, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Marvel, all of them seem to be suffering all at around the same time, both at the box office or on Disney Plus, wherever you can think of. And this weekend, we finally got a new original movie from Pixar, a company that before it was bought by Disney, and even for several years after that, it was known. It wasn't just sequels or stuff. It wasn't just one or two IPs that were doing really well for Pixar. It was everything they were putting out. Original stories, original films that would come out and would get massive numbers at the box office, would have huge praise from audiences and critics alike, and people couldn't wait for the next Pixar movie. That's no longer the case. Multiple box office flops and several movies that would have flopped in the box office if they didn't decide to just put them straight on Disney Plus. But here we are, another one, Elio, after multiple delays and after everyone saying, hey, it's such a good thing that this got delayed because there's been so much bad shit. It's a good thing they're trying to get this one right. Well, here we are. Box office, Elio limps to record low $21 million Pixar opening as How to Train Your Dragon stays number one. And yes, it's the lowest Pixar opening, not even adjusted for inflation. It's just straight up the lowest, beating Toy Story from 1995 as the lowest box office opening ever for Pixar in its entire history. Toy Story in 95 opened to $29 million, which would be a lot more than $29 million with inflation considered in today's dollars, 30 years after the fact. And this is it. Now, we have reports that this budget, because they did scrap everything, because they delayed everything, because they changed directors, they rewrote and reanimated a lot of stuff. We've had reports that this is up to a $300 million budget for this movie. Disney's telling us, we promise it's only $150. We've seen that before. But just a complete collapse for a studio and a company before they were bought by Disney that used to be so beloved and so respected and have just fallen into the fucking dirt.
This movie is what's crazy is like even the Disney adults online are saying like this movie is like pathetic and like, they don't even care for it. This one guy, he's like a Disney theme park loyalist. He writes on Twitter, he's like, I just got out of Elio. Wow, it's terrible. I got nothing from this movie other than I'm sad I wasted a ticket for this sad storytelling. I'm shocked this movie has a high audience score on websites. He's like, I would have walked out, but I didn't want to waste my money. I gave it a 1.5 out of 5, and I don't recommend it at all. These are like, when you lost that crowd, that's pretty pathetic. Like, what was the point in even making this film? And I'm telling you, like, I didn't see any marketing. It's almost like they knew it was trash. I mean, maybe I'm just not in the algorithm, you know?
I saw a fair amount of it,
a
fair amount of marketing, but not to the same level as, say, Lilo and Stitch live action, not to the same level as Inside Out 2, which came out last year. I did not see it to the same level as those. I did see a decent amount. But I 100% believe that they thought internally that this was not going to do well. And so they didn't waste a ton of marketing money when they didn't think they were going to get a lot of return.
Exactly.
And
that's what I didn't see hardly any ads. So I don't know what this is. I don't even know anything about this film, like what it's about or anything. So
it's about a little kid who's
lost his eye, I guess.
I don't know if that's really just like a get up, like a pretending thing. It's a little kid who feels out of place. He's being raised by his aunt because something happened to his parents. He feels lonely. He feels like he doesn't have any friends or anyone to connect to. And he ends up getting abducted by aliens who are looking for a representative from every world, like all around the galaxy, right? And he finds friendship and he finds camaraderie and like all this stuff. Whatever. I don't know. That's from all the marketing, that's about what I can tell about the movie. But it is bombed hard. $35 million worldwide, 21 million domestically. And when you start to look at what Disney's come out with, look, the only thing that Pixar is succeeding with right now are sequels. This is why Frozen 3 and 4 and Toy Story 5 and 6 get announced. This is the only thing that's working for them, are people's when people have something that is already beloved and well liked, people will show up for that, but they're not going to show up for their originals anymore. And when you look at Disney's theatrical run this year, it is looking bad for them. Now, we do think they're going to have some wins later on. Zootopia 2 coming out later this year. Avatar 3 probably going to be a big box office win for them as well. When you look at the first half of the year, I can think of 5 major Disney releases, and only one of them was successful, and that's live action Lilo and Stitch. Other than that, Captain Black America, Brave New World, Snow White, Thunderbolts, and now something like Elio leading up to Fantastic Four. It's been rough.
Yeah. The thing is some of the movie critics out there trying to defend this film were like, this is why we won't get any originals. Just like you said, we won't get anything original because no one's going to support their original films. Well, if it sucks, why would people support it? Like, that's the thing. If it's not good, how can you even say that? You know, if people won't go support, if nobody likes it, of course they're not going to support it, and the word of mouth is not going to carry it. But I'm pretty sure Disney will find money making potential when they move it over to streaming service, and they'll say, yeah, it wasn't a flop. We made plenty of money on the streaming service. So,
funny enough, they moved the release date for this multiple times. It was delayed by like a year or something earlier on, but it was supposed to come out 2 weekends ago, right up against How to Train Your Dragon. And they decided to kind of quietly shift the release date a week because they probably knew it would have been even worse if they went up straight against that.
Yeah.
Even with that being said, How to Train Your Dragon still was #1 at the box office this week, despite Elio opening, despite 28 years later opening.
Oh man, I got my parents out of the house. We all went and saw How to Train Your Dragon. Everybody loved it.
You liked it?
Theater was packed. Yeah, everybody loved it. People cheered at the end. It was really good.
The story is completely intact. I think the animation is basically a masterpiece. So I don't think it's as good as the original. But
yeah,
in this time frame for a live action adaptation, to me, it's kind of with a couple here and there criticisms over castings or stuff like that. I think this is how you should go about making it, personally.
I agree.